Hi, I'm Preetika Rao. I'm a model and actor from Mumbai, India. And today on my podcast, I have with me Chandru Ramesh, who is the author of Mahabharat, Myth or History. Welcome, Chandruji. Welcome on my podcast.
Namaste. Thank you.
It's really interesting for me to have you on my podcast, especially because I have also had a background of, having majored in history from the Mumbai University. So history of India is always a matter of pride. And yes, with a lot of regret, I have to admit that Indian history has been misrepresented, I would say, to the students. And I also, when I was a student of history, grew up with a lot of wrong notions. Ved Vyas, when he wrote Mahabharat, it's so simple out there. Mahabharat, Maha is great, Bharat is the land. So it's the story of this land, Mahabharat. Now, documented manuscripts, if it is found in any part of the world, it is celebrated as the history of that land. But here in India, documented manuscripts are being, misrepresented as a fragment of somebody's imagination and being presented to us, Indian youth, as mythology. And a lot of us call it mythology, completely blissfully ignorant about the fact that we are calling our own history a myth. तो हमारे ही इतिहास को हमने myth या कल्पना या काल्पनिक का हमने नाम दे दिया है. तो आपने बहुत सारा रिसर्च किया है इस सब्जेक्ट पे.
Thank you, Preetika ji, for this wonderful opportunity to be able to speak on the Mahabharat. So, what is Mahabharat, right? When you discuss about the Mahabharat just means Mahabharat in the sense the greater Bharat. Geographically speaking, when we say Mahabharat, it is the greater Bharat, the greater Bharatvarsh, right? It extended all the way up till what we know today as Iran, Afghanistan, modern day Pakistan, in the east up till Nepal, parts of China and parts of Burma, all the northeast India. This was what we call as the greater Bharat, the Mahabharat. The extent of it had impacted ancient cultures massively. That's why it was called as Mahabharat. Okay, so that's one perspective. And another perspective why it's called as Mahabharat is because it is the history of the greater Bharatvamsh.
Right.
The Pandavas and Kauravas are belonging to the Bharatvamsh, right? So that's why it is called as the Mahabharat, the story of the history of the greater Bharatvamsh.
Very interesting. So let's talk about Sri Krishna.
Yeah.
Where are the evidences of Lord Sri Krishna and that he really existed? Like, are there archaeological evidences? Because abhi hamare Pradhan Mantri Narendra Modi ji, he also deep dived, and also in Dwarka, he offered his prayers. So it's amazing. I mean, it only goes to show me, a lot of people might see it as a religious thing, but it also goes to show me that it's so patriotic. There's so much pride in your ancient history and past. Just like, one has to be proud of the Egyptian civilization and the pyramids. Even if the pyramids tomorrow sink after 5,000 years, God forbid, we don't want that to happen. But if somebody visits it, tries to just get down so many feet underwater and just offer, their homage to it, I think it's such a huge, act of patriotism. It's nothing to do with religion, but I don't know how many people are going to paint it with the religious brush. But if you actually go to see 5,000 years back, did the concept of religion even exist in India?
Yeah. So coming to the point of religion, the religion word is not from India. The word religion is actually a foreign concept. It comes from the word religare.
Religare.
So what we have in India, it is dharma.
Exactly.
That's where you see Sanatan Dharma, Buddhist Dharma, Bauddha Dharma, Jain Dharma, Sikh Dharma. So all of them associate that word dharma, right? So dharma and religion are quite different in terms of how it's understood, etymologically speaking as well, culturally speaking and so on. Now coming to the point of Krishna. So what Modi ji did, Modi ji went underwater and he offered homages Now, why that is significant? Because it's not some site which has been, created or hooked up. Like somebody imagined that Dwarka existed, let's go and, create some artificial imaginary site called Dwarka. This site has been referred in multiple sources, in Greek sources, Buddhist sources, Jain sources, inscriptions, Mahabharata, Puranas, whatnot, right? And then we have a culture which is going for thousands of years. So, like for example, if I say in the Greek sources, we have a book called as Periples of the Erythraean Sea, right? It's a 2000-year-old traveler's account. An unnamed anonymous traveler, he came to India and he recorded that site.
Okay, so how would they record it in those times?
Right. So what happened is the word Dwarka was also called as Dwarvati.
Dwarvati.
Dwarvati. So much so, how much it was impactful that in Thailand, there was a kingdom which was called as Dwarvati kingdom. And the word Dwarvati is also mentioned in the Mahabharata as an alternate name for the Dwarka kingdom. So Dwarka was mispronounced as Dwarka Baraka by the Greek sources. And Dwaravati was mispronounced as Bharavati by Jain sources. And the Buddhist sources mention that Krishna and Balram, they went all over India and conquered many places, and they went and settled in Dwaravati and they were ruling from there. That's a 2300-year-old reference from Ghatajatak. And then we have a 1400-year-old inscription found in Gujarat. That inscription is called as Palitana copper plate inscription. And that inscription refers to Krishna as the king of Dwarka. So we have inscription, Jain sources, Buddhist sources, Greek sources, Mahabharata, and so on.
So which is the oldest? Would it be, the Ved Vyas ji ne jo manuscripts likhe the Tampatra pe?
Yeah.
Would they be the oldest evidences of?
Yes. और ये जो भी बाद में आए हैं, they have cited those sources. The Mahabharata contains the earliest reference to the city of Dwarka and the kingdom of Dwarvati. Okay, it contains the earliest, and the Buddhist and the Jain sources also refer to that kingdom of Krishna, which existed on the western coast of Gujarat. So during the 1990s, for the first time, National Institute of Oceanography, headed by Dr. S.R. Rao, they went underwater and they researched the entire city of Dwarka, and they were fascinated. They found remains of ancient walls. They found artifacts which were used by those, by the people of that time, right? Till that period, it was generally promoted and believed, "Arey, this is all mythology. What is the proof?" When Dwarka was found for the first time, people started considering it. Oh, maybe this could have some history in it.
So basically, you're trying to say that from the written evidence and the direction that, was given, because of course our Rishi Munis always gave directions precisely through the planetary positions also for various incidents that happened. Even the birth of Lord Krishna, I've done a video, a podcast on the horoscope of Lord Sri Krishna, where, literally the nakshatras and the planets and the rashis and everything is described so beautifully, it's all documented. And you can actually put it in the system and create the horoscope of Lord Sri Krishna. Similarly, you're trying to say that out of the written evidences, they did the underwater excavation and they actually found the city. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
Wow.
How it works is like this. You see, our scriptures are very clear in terms of locating ancient sites. For example, if you see Dwarka, it is mentioned as being close to Raivataka mountain, which is currently Girinar. The Girinar mountains, right? So Dwarka is basically having hills on one side and the ocean on the other side. Why they chose that place? Because when Jarasandha was constantly attacking, they decided we need to have some peace. So let's go back to our ancestral land, because Gujarat is the ancestral land of the Yadavas. We generally think that, Yadavas are from Mathura.
Acha.
During the period of Maharaj Yayati, the Yadava land was actually regions of Gujarat and Maharashtra. And then during a certain period of time, they went to Mathura region, which is now called as Vraj. And then because of Jarasandha's attacks, they again went back to Dwarka. I mean that west coast of Gujarat, and they constructed their city. So that's the history of that region. That's a Yadava land which was left and again taken back. So what they found in Dwarka city is an entire, structure, like remains of ancient forts, ancient buildings were found underwater, right? And many seals and objects which were used for worship, right? One particular jar is of very important notification. Like they used a jar which was for the purpose of worship. It's a very ancient jar, and remains of that jar has an inscription. Now, what is an inscription? Is like when you go to ancient temples, you find that on the walls they have carved. Pathar se likhte hain, so it kind of becomes like inscribed on it. Why? Because literature might get destroyed, might get burnt, might get attacked, or some termites may eat it, like because they used to write on tadapatra, the palm leaves. Yeah. So inscription is generally considered to be a very solid evidence in history. So that's why they wrote an inscription on remains of that jar, which shows the worship of Varun Dev being very prominently done in Dwarka region. And that's corroborated, that's proven. What is there in the Mahabharata is found underwater, and much of Dwarka is still to be excavated. Part of it was excavated during the 1990s, much of it is still to be excavated.
I remember a documentary where this Indian guy from, I think, America, he went to Dwarka and, he tried to do all his research. And he actually said that there were articles that were found which dated 3,500 years. Is that true?
Yeah. Ancient artifacts going back to 3,500 years, 3,700 years. That period was, going back to that much ancient period was found underwater.
So, when according to you, because astrologically, I think Lord Sri Krishna's chart is around 5,250 years back. Does that corroborate with the...
Yeah. So, see, dating works from multiple angles. We do it archaeologically, and then we do it astronomically, and then we do it through inscriptions. And out of these three, archaeology is the first most trusted evidence. Second is inscription, and the final is astronomy. And we have less of archaeology in India because not much research is done in this country. A lot of it is still to be done. So the second best evidence which we have is inscriptions. We have hundreds of inscriptions which refer to the exact year of when Kali Yuga began, and that's connected with the year when Mahabharata happened, right? And 36th year of Kali Yuga is when Krishna departs from this world. So in that way, the dating of Krishna gets proven through the inscriptions.
So if you actually go to see, we come to know about, our glorious past, the majestic palaces of gold, the kings and the way, they lived, then the sannyasis, the monks, of course, even the gurukuls, the educational system that India had, we come to know of so many different dimensions of our Indian society that existed only because of these two texts, Ramayana and Mahabharata. And also the demography of India, not only the culture but also the geography of India. ये दो manuscripts ही हमें बताते हैं कि हमारा Indian culture इतना रिच था, इंडियन सिविलाइजेशन इतना रिच था. आज हम इजिप्ट को देखते हैं और कहते हैं अरे वाह कितना शानदार कल्चर रहा था, सिविलाइजेशन रहा था. लेकिन इफ यू एक्चुअली गो टू सी, यू कैन नॉट इवन डिसाइफर देयर स्क्रिप्ट्स. इजिप्ट में कहाँ आपको इजिप्ट के बारे में कुछ समझ में ही नहीं आता है, क्योंकि उनका जो शास्त्र है, जो लिखित शास्त्र है, उसका तो किसी को अभी तक कुछ समझ में ही नहीं आया. Whereas if you see Indian history and Indian literature, संस्कृत हो आज तक सिखाया जाता है. It's read, deciphered, taught till date. So what a huge achievement it is for our culture. We should be proud of it. Coming back to your research on Krishna and Mahabharat, what are your findings about the Yadava dynasty? Because that is, so Krishna was actually the cousin of the Pandavas, right? From the maternal side, he was related through his mother.
So I'll come in specific sections to what you raised so far.
Sure.
एक है कि if you see, during the Mahabharat war, the geography of it was quite vast, right? But then as time progressed, the geography became shorter and shorter and shorter. Like for example, if you see Gandhar, that what we know today as the Kandahar region, and then we have what is called as Balkh, Balkh. That region gets its name from Balhika, And who's Balhika? He was the elder brother of Shantanu. The descendants of Kuru dynasty went and settled there, northern Afghanistan. So in that sense, Bharat was quite vast. Then what happened in due course of time is we got, the lands got separated. We became quite short in terms of the size of the country. And another problem we had in India is the lack of unity, right? Among the different kings, there was a severe lack of unity.
उसी का तो फायदा लिया ब्रिटिशर्स ने.
Exactly, right? Like we can see even in the case of Jayachand, and we can even see in the case of the invasions which happened in the 10th and 11th century, right? Al-Biruni had a major role to play in understanding India and conveying it to Ghazni, because Al-Biruni came to India and he was here for a few years studying India in depth. So he gave that information to Ghazni, and Ghazni had so much of knowledge about India because this person did a first-hand research.
So I remember reading in my textbooks that Muhammad Ghazni and Ghori attacked, looted, plundered India 16 times, but India was so rich that they still couldn't plunder it of all its wealth.
We are always been a culture which welcomes different people, culture, religions, etc. Religion, if we may call it that way. But those who came in India did not have that kind of a mood. They came here to, especially during the 10th, 11th and all the way till the British period, they had this mood that they wanted to dominate. They wanted to control, and they wanted to, trust their culture upon India. There were good people also. I won't say that all was bad, but a lot of it was quite bloody in terms of the history which India faced, in terms of the invasions. It was quite bloody in terms of the losses of lives, loss of ancient history and so on. But the speciality of this country is that it bounced back. It always bounces back. We always have this resurgence, like Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, out of nowhere, absolutely out of nowhere, just conquered almost a large portion of the subcontinent. So we in India have the spirit, we bounce back. We do welcome cultures and religions and other people from different backgrounds. We want them to assimilate here and not, dominate the country. We want them to assimilate in the sense that they consider this land as theirs and be part of it.
Do the archaeological references of Krishna, do they support the regions and the areas of Mathura, Vrindavan, of course, Dwarka, all of that? Are there some kind of archaeological evidences there also?
So regarding Mathura, if you see, that land has been a site of Krishna worship for really long, right? There is a 2000-year-old inscription which is called as the Mora well inscription. Mora is a village which is on the way from, when you travel from Vrindavan to Govardhan, on the way you find a village which is called as Mora. And in this village called as Mora, there was an ancient inscription found inside a well. In that inscription, it refers to the name of the 5 great Vrishnis. Now, who are the Vrishnis? Vrishni is the name of Krishna's, that genealogical line, because Vrishni is an ancestor of Krishna. So that's called as the Vrishni line.
Okay. So
the name of the 5 Vrishnis are mentioned in that inscription. Now we may wonder, who are these 5 Vrishnis? Because we know the 5 Pandavas. When we think of the number 5, we generally associate with the Pandavas. But who are these 5 Vrishnis? That's answered in ancient sculpture found in Andhra Pradesh, in a place called Kondamatu. So 5 of these Yadavas, Vrishnis, are carved in an ancient statue. Now, who they are actually, what's their names? That's mentioned in Vayu Puran. Vayu Puran says Balram, Vasudev Krishna, Pradyumna, Samba, Aniruddha are the 5 great Vrishnis. So in that sense, we get history connected from multiple angles. What is there in literature is getting proven by an inscription, is also getting proven by a sculpture. Inter-verifiable, interconnected. So what we found in Mathura, we found inscriptions. We also found a Greek reference. Megasthenes, in his writings, he says that in the town of Mathura, which is Mathura, right, the worship of Hari was very prominent, right? 2300-year-old reference. And we also have ancient coins of Balram found in the Mathura region. So lot of evidences in that region.
So how was life during the times of Krishna? Like, what kind of articles they used, what kind of homes did they have, and all of that is like very intriguing.
So what they had during the period of Mahabharat, during the period of Krishna, Krishna's culture was cow-centric. They were cowherd community, right? So archaeologically speaking, we may not find much of that. because a cowherd community may not construct big palaces and big buildings and all of that, right? But when Krishna went to Dwarka, he constructed big palaces. And in Purana Kila, which is the Indraprasth, we have big palaces. So archaeologically speaking, you can find evidences of ancient palaces or ancient, like seals or potteries. What happens in archaeology is that we find potteries, right? When a civilization exists, much of it is destroyed with the passage of time. But potteries do remain for thousands of years. So we have potteries, we have evidences of seals, ancient seals, which were used in Shankodvar Tirtha, which is in Dwarka. They were used specifically for the purpose of identification. Just like we have ID card to enter into the metro stations, So they had kind of an identification which, the seals were carved specifically by expert metallurgists. No ordinary citizen could carve it. So those kind of seals were used for entry and exit of the city of Dwarka. Mahabharata says, when you want to enter the city of Dwarka, you will have to show those seals. Only then you'll be allowed to enter and exit the city.
Wow, okay. Something like our Aadhaar card.
Yeah.
The identity card. Was there some kind of technology? Because there is, I have heard, and of course I've heard this from certain gurus who have written books anonymously about how they remember their past life in, the Mahabharata times, and how they were so advanced with mantras that they could actually use weapons through mantras. So they were different kind of weapons which were of, wind and fire. The technology is lost. It's not known to mankind. So how do we come to know about this? Is it through also documental evidences?
So technically speaking, we had a lot of things which are still not deciphered and decoded. What is there in the Mahabharata? Like for instance, today, there are scientists who are studying the impact of the mantras. There is a famous Japanese scientist by the name of Masaru Emoto. So what he did is he studied the impact of mantras or various chants on water. And what he found is that when you have prayers and mantras being chanted, the water forms a beautiful pattern. And then when you crystallize it, when you study it, you see that it's in the form of beautiful shapes. So the mantras do have effect on matter, right? So that's a proven thing. So yes, a lot of technological advancement was there in the past. We still are not in the position to fully decipher and decode them. One particular instance, if I could share, is the availability of an ancient sword. So what Mahabharata says is that there is a sword called as Shilashita sword. It was kind of an antennae sword. It has antennaes on it. So it is coated by lead. So what is said in the Mahabharata is also found in archaeology. So they had advanced metallurgy as well during the warfare.
Is it true that Krishna's Shankh is found? Is that true?
So far, no. I have not seen that Shankha being found. But yes, Shankha is being depicted in ancient coins and ancient inscriptions. They are mentioned, right? But the Shankha itself is not yet found.
Are there any personal articles used by Lord Krishna which have been found?
Regarding personal articles, if you see, much of it is in the city of Dwarka and a lot of it is underwater. So finding those ancient remains might be very challenging and difficult. But definitely we have the remains of the city still underwater.
So what is Dwarka like?
Dwarka was an ancient city, massive city. It had a huge impact on ancient India. Like the powerhouse was centered around Indraprasth, which now became Delhi. Another important powerhouse was the kingdom of Dwarka. Politically speaking, geopolitically speaking, it had a huge influence because the Yadavas had a huge role to play in many of the decisions which were taken by the Pandavas and the Kauravas. For example, Duryodhan was the disciple of Balramji and Krishna was a close friend of Arjun. So in that sense, they had this, close tie-up. And even during the Mahabharata war, we see that Arjun and Duryodhan come to Dwarka and they ask for favor for Krishna. Krishna says, I will be on one side and my entire army of Yadavas will be on the another side. Duryodhan says, give me the army.
Right.
Arjun says, you come. That's why you see Gita ends with this beautiful shloka which says, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara. It says wherever Yogeshwara Krishna is there and wherever Partha, the Dhanurdhara, the expert archer is there, victory is guaranteed.
Amazing. It has a very esoteric meaning that you can have everything, all the luxuries, all the protection, weapons, whatever. But if you don't have divine grace, you may still fail. So it's a very esoteric meaning from the entire Mahabharata that you can derive as a beautiful lesson.
Absolutely, because you might have everything. You might be like, for example, if you see during the Mahabharata war, 11 akshonis. 11 akshoni is like a military formation. These many lakhs of soldiers and elephants and so on. So 11 akshonis on the Kaurava side, 7 on the Pandava side, nearly 45 plus kingdoms on the Kaurava side, 25 plus on the Pandava side. Yet the Pandavas won. Why? Because Krishna is on their side, master strategist, and of course he is Supreme Lord himself. So he is there on the side of the Pandavas. So victory is guaranteed. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Partho Dhanuttara. Victory is guaranteed.
In Mahabharata, it's written that Krishna had predicted that Dwarka will submerge eventually. And he had warned everyone to, evacuate. And after that, Dwarka submerged. Exactly क्या हुआ था? मतलब ये कितने साल बाद, it sunk?
Speaking on Dwarka, the Moshal Parva of the Mahabharata. See, Mahabharata has 18 Parvas. Out of that, one Parva in the fag end of the Mahabharata is called as Moshal Parva. So in Moshal Parva, we have description of how the Yadavas killed each other. Right? All the Yadavas killed each other. No one survived. So what happened is the women, children and the elders were remaining in the city of Dwarka. And before the war started, see, it was kind of an internal family strife between the Yadavas. One group of Yadavas fighting with another group of Yadavas, then they killed everyone. Everyone died. The remaining people, right, the women, children and the older people, they were supposed to leave the city. Why? Krishna informed Arjuna, ki please take them away. With the departure of the Yadavas, eventually the city will submerge. This was Krishna's prediction. So what Arjun did, he informed everyone that all the Yadavas have left. So they were like in complete grief and sorrow. But anyway, he realized that he has to take them out. So he took all of them out and he brought them out. And the moment they came out of the city, they could see that the entire city got submerged very gradually. It went inside deeper, deeper, deeper. And just in a span of few minutes or few hours, the entire city got submerged. It was so abrupt, so sudden. A very beautiful city constructed by Krishna, right, just disappeared in a very short period of time.
Technically, आपके बातों से ऐसे लग रहा है कि जो प्रयास है हमारी इंडियन गवर्नमेंट का to revive, or research more on Dwarka, I think it's a wonderful initiative because, at least we will get to know about our rich Indian culture that's submerged right now somewhere, under ocean. And rightly so we have to, because, like India has faced all the time, it has faced colonization, and our history, our findings, our science, our research, astronomy, astrology was all tried to, be brushed under the carpet. And we were always, brainwashed that we are illiterate, a culture that's illiterate. And the Westerners were more literate than us, which is actually, the complete contrast. Sanskrit as a language, which is the oldest deciphered language in world history. चाहे आप सुमेरिया या मेसोपोटामिया बोलो या आप कोई भी आप civilization की बात करें, Egypt की बात करें, I don't think there is any urban rich civilization as advanced as Indian culture has been. And it's very unfortunate that a lot of people don't understand the difference between culture and religion. When I was in school, I was very, fascinated by Mohenjo-daro, Harappa. And of course, it was a full Vedic civilization of India. And of course, it's so unfortunate. I feel really pained that now it's a part of Pakistan. And of course, Pakistan is neglecting it because it was, the findings are all Vedic. It's a Vedic culture. Of course, if we don't research and have people like you, do all these findings and all of that, we will never come to know what our, ancient glorious past was that we should be so proud of. So what is your message and your opinion about, all these kinds of research activities that probably anybody out there who's inclined, interested, wants to know about, what should their trajectory be?
You see, India as a country, Bharat as a country has massive potential in terms of archaeology, history. This country has majority of sites still not excavated. 90% of India is still not excavated. It's not something I am saying. This is said by American archaeologists. They are saying that this country, has a lot of ancient sites still, it is under some ancient buildings, or it may be under some farmland, or it may be underwater like in Dwarka, Pumbuhar, and so on. Or it may be, completely in an unknown site. Nobody knows, like in a forest, for instance. So a lot of that is still not excavated. So if you are an Egyptologist, that's very reputed. But whereas if you're an Indologist, it's practically non-existent in this country. Indology is not a pursued passion, a pursued career in this country. And we want to change that. We want our youngsters, we want our children, Indians, to work on this. And we want, of course, this government is trying its best in terms of creating this IKS, Indian Knowledge Systems, and many other initiatives. We want that youngsters take up this very seriously, right? And we want that the career opportunities come up in a way that they don't have to, struggle for existence in this career. We want hundreds and thousands of historians and archaeologists for this country. And that's how we are going to reset the narrative.
Wow, that's very encouraging and inspiring. I really hope that the government of India, comes forward in support of this. Thank you, Chandruji. Thank you so much for this wonderful podcast. So much of knowledge from you. And I love to, hear about the city of Dwarka, because that's very close to my heart. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Jai Shri Krishna.
Jai Shri Krishna.